My parents tricked me into funding my sister's startup, so I walked away with legal proof and left them facing their own betrayal. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the dependable one in my family. The one who fixes things, who picks up the pieces when everyone else falls apart. My parents always told me that family comes first, and I believed them with every part of me. Maybe that's why I never noticed how that phrase slowly became a leash around my neck. My younger sister, Lily, was the golden one. She had this radiant charm that made everyone forgive her before she even apologized. Every mistake she made was brushed off as youthful experimentation, while my smallest misstep was dissected and turned into a family lecture. I worked hard through college, saved money, built a stable career, and bought my own apartment. Meanwhile, Lily drifted between business ideas like fashion pop-ups and skincare lines that always fizzled out before they began. But my parents never lost faith in her. She's creative, they'd say. She just needs one chance to shine. I tried not to resent it. I told myself every family has a golden child and a responsible one. My role was to keep things steady, and hers was to dream. But deep down, I can't lie, envied how easily love and patience flowed her way. My achievements, no matter how big, barely earned a nod. Yet when she posted about her new venture, my parents would beam like she'd cured cancer. Still, I supported them all. I'd send money for bills, repairs, even to help Lily pay off her business debt. Always felt like the right thing to do. After all, family helps family, right? I didn't realize then that this belief, the very one I took pride in, would soon be twisted into something cruel. Something that would make me question whether blood truly means loyalty. A few weeks later, I drove home for dinner, one of those mandatory family nights my mom loved to organize. The house looked the same as always. Spotless table, candles lit, soft jazz humming through the speakers. My mom greeted me with that familiar warmth that always felt a little practiced. And of course, Lily was already there, talking a mile a minute about her next big thing. "This is it, I swear," she said, eyes gleaming. "A lifestyle brand. Local, ethical, sustainable. People are going to love it." My dad nodded approvingly while slicing into the roast. "You've got the brains, kiddo. You just need the right push." Then came the shift, that subtle yet heavy silence before the guilt trap drops. My mom looked at me and smiled, almost sweetly. "You know, honey, it would mean a lot if you and Lily worked on this together. She could use someone with your discipline." My dad chimed in. "It's not about money, son. It's about family unity. You two could finally build something meaningful together." I glanced at Lily. She was grinning, but there was something behind that smile, confidence, maybe even expectation. I laughed nervously and said, "Sure, I can look into it," not realizing that simple sentence was the first step into the mess that would consume everything. After dinner, Lily pulled me aside, her tone soft. "I really appreciate this, you know? I've always looked up to you." For a second, it sounded genuine, and I felt a flicker of pride, like maybe this was the moment we'd finally bridge our gap. But on the drive home, something about the whole evening replayed in my mind, too coordinated, too rehearsed. I brushed it off, convincing myself I was just being paranoid. If only I had trusted that instinct. Because what came next would turn that family dream into a nightmare I'd never forget. A few days later, Lily called and asked if I could drop by our parents' house for a quick talk. I didn't think much of it. Maybe she wanted help setting up her business plan. When I arrived, she had a whole presentation laid out on the dining table. Charts, sketches, even mock-ups of product labels. My dad was seated at the head of the table like a proud investor, and my mom had that same approving smile plastered on her face. "This," Lily began, "is my dream finally coming to life. The boutique will focus on handmade, sustainable clothing sourced locally. All I need is a small push, some seed money to get it started." She looked straight at me as she said it, like the decision was already made. I flipped through the papers. Everything looked surprisingly professional. Too professional for something she supposedly whipped up overnight. "How much are we talking?" I asked cautiously. "Just $25,000, she said sweetly. "That's barely anything for you. You'll get it back once we're profitable." My dad jumped in before I could respond. Son, think of it as an investment in your sister's future and in this family. You're doing well. This is your chance to give back, my mom added softly. It would make us so proud to see you two succeed together. The guilt landed like a weight on my chest. I didn't want to say no, not when they were all looking at me like I was the missing piece to their perfect family dream. Against my better judgment, I agreed. I transferred the money to Lily's business account that same night. They toasted 2 new beginnings. My parents smiling like everything was finally perfect. But as I looked around that table, something in their eyes made my stomach turn. It wasn't excitement, it was satisfaction. And deep down, I already knew I'd just made a mistake I couldn't undo. At first, everything seemed fine. Lily posted photos of her brand journey online, sketches of designs, shots from local markets, quotes about chasing dreams. My parents flooded every post with comments like, "So proud of you, sweetheart," and "Family businesses are built on love." It was almost convincing, even to me. I wanted to believe that this time maybe it would all work out, but soon, little things started to feel off. When I asked for updates about how things were going, Lily would give me vague answers. "It's all coming together," she'd say, brushing off my questions about expenses. When I asked to see receipts or a breakdown of costs, she'd laugh it off. "Oh, come on, you're not auditing your little sister, are you?" My parents would jump in immediately, saying things like, "She's under enough pressure already. Let her work." Still, I noticed things that didn't add up. Lily started posting photos from weekend getaways, expensive brunches, and networking trips that looked more like vacations. New clothes, new handbags, new phone. All while the brand launch date kept getting pushed back. One night I stopped by unannounced. She looked surprised, uncomfortable, even when she saw me at the door. Her laptop was open, and when she turned it toward me, I caught a glimpse of her online shopping cart before she slammed it shut. "Just restocking materials," she mumbled, clearly lying. I drove home that night with my chest tight. Every part of me wanted to believe it was a misunderstanding. But deep down, the truth was clawing its way up. Something wasn't right. The business I thought I was helping to build didn't exist. Not the way they said it did. And I had no idea how deep the lie really went. A few weeks later, I got an email that changed everything. It was meant for Lily, but somehow landed in my inbox, probably because I'd helped her set up her business domain. The subject line read, "Final registration details confirmed. Congratulations on your new company." My heart sank as I opened it. The registration documents listed Lily as the sole owner and operator. My name wasn't mentioned anywhere, not even as a contributor. At first I thought it had to be some kind of mistake. I called her immediately. "Hey, Lily, I think there's a mix-up in the business registration. They left me out of the paperwork." She paused. "Oh, yeah. That's how it has to be for now. It's easier for me to handle it solo on paper, but you'll still get credit later. I asked, "You used my money? Don't you think my name should at least be on the company?" She sighed dramatically, like I was being unreasonable. "God, you always make everything about control. This isn't about ownership. It's about family trust." When I brought it up to my parents, hoping they'd help mediate, their reactions stunned me. My dad frowned and said, "You're really going to ruin this with legal talk? It's family money, son. You should be proud your sister's building something great." My mom crossed her arms. "Why do you always need credit? Can't you just support her without conditions?" Their words hit harder than I expected. I wasn't just excluded, I was being guilt-tripped for even caring. For the first time, it dawned on me that maybe this wasn't just Lily's manipulation. Maybe they were all in on it. That night, I sat staring at my bank account, realizing I'd been conned, not by strangers, but by the people I trusted most, and somehow, I knew this was only the beginning of their betrayal. I barely slept that night. My mind kept looping through every conversation, every promise, every smile that now felt rehearsed. Something deep in my gut told me there was more to uncover, so I decided to verify everything myself. I reached out to a lawyer friend, Daniel, someone I trusted implicitly. I told him the situation. How I'd invested money into Lily's startup but discovered my name wasn't listed anywhere. He agreed to look into it. 2 days later, he called. His tone was calm, but the words hit me like a gut punch. I checked the filings, he said. Not only are you not listed as an owner, your money was used as proof of funds to secure additional business loans. What? What do you mean? I asked, already feeling my stomach turn. I mean, Daniel said your parents co-signed the documents? They used your transferred funds as collateral to get those loans approved. On paper, it looks like you were the silent investor without any legal rights. I went silent. I could hear my heartbeat thudding in my ears. So basically, I whispered, I funded a company I don't even legally exist in. Exactly, he said softly. And if it fails, your family's financial ties could pull you down too. I hung up and just sat there in my dark apartment, staring at the city lights outside. The truth felt heavy, suffocating. My parents hadn't just supported Lily's dream. They'd orchestrated the entire setup. I wasn't their dependable son. I was their bank. The room felt smaller. My chest felt tighter. For the first time in my life, I realized my family didn't see me as a person who'd earned success, just as someone they could manipulate into paying for theirs. And from that moment on, something inside me began to change. The loyal son in me started to die, and the strategist began to wake up. I drove to my parents' house that evening, anger pulsing through my veins. I didn't even knock, I just walked in. They were in the living room, watching TV like nothing had happened. Lily was there too, scrolling through her phone. When she saw me, her smile faded instantly. We need to talk, I said flatly. My dad muted the TV, exchanging a glance with my mom. What's this about? He asked, though the tone in his voice already sounded defensive. I talked to a lawyer, I said. I know about the loans. I know my money was used as collateral. And I know the business is under Lily's name only. My mom sighed dramatically. Oh, not this again. Lily crossed her arms. Wow, you really don't trust your own family, do you? I trusted you, I shot back. That's why this hurts. You lied to me. My dad stood up, his voice rising. Enough. You're blowing this out of proportion. We did what was necessary for the family. You're financially stable. It's not like you're struggling. So that makes it okay to steal from me? I snapped. The room went cold. My mom's eyes filled with tears, weaponized ones. We only wanted to help your sister chase her dream. Why can't you just be happy for her? I laughed bitterly. Because you didn't help her, you used me. All of you. Lily's expression hardened. You're jealous. You've always been jealous that Mom and Dad believe in me. That line hit me harder than I expected. For a second, I almost lost control. But instead, I just shook my head. No, Lily, I'm just finally seeing you all clearly. I left without another word, slamming the door behind me. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilt. I felt something colder, something sharper, and I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. That night, I sat in my apartment, surrounded by silence. No TV, no music. Just the faint hum of the city outside and the storm brewing inside me. My phone buzzed, non-stop calls from my parents, texts from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. The message was the same in every one. She's your sister. Don't ruin the family over money. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Each notification felt like another knife in my back. The people who'd taught me loyalty, who'd preached about family above all else, had turned me into their villain. Days blurred together. I went to work, came home, and stared at the same spot on the wall, wondering how I could have been so blind. I replayed every memory, every time I'd bailed Lily out of trouble, every thank you that now felt rehearsed. And the worst part? They didn't even feel guilty. They thought I was the problem for finally saying no. One night, my mom showed up at my apartment unannounced. Her eyes were red, her voice trembling. You're tearing this family apart, she said, clutching her purse like it held her excuses. Your sister is under so much stress. You need to fix this. I need to fix this. I asked quietly. You tricked me, Mom. You lied. You stole from me? Her eyes hardened. You've always been so ungrateful. Everything we did was for you and your sister. That broke something in me. For the first time, I saw her not as my mother, but as someone capable of betrayal, cold, calculated, and entitled. After she left, I sank onto the floor and let the silence consume me. My whole life I'd lived for their approval. Now that illusion had finally shattered, and in that emptiness, I felt something new forming resolve. They wanted to play dirty? Fine. I'd learn to play smarter. A week passed before I stopped feeling like a ghost. Somewhere between exhaustion and fury, I found clarity. If my family saw me as nothing more than a wallet, then I'd stop being one and I'd make sure they never used my name or money again. But this time, I wasn't going to act out of emotion. I was going to act with precision. I started gathering everything: bank transfers, text messages, voice notes, and emails. Every single trace of proof showing that the money for Lily's startup came directly from me. I even pulled the business filings Daniel had found. My lawyer friend was cautious but intrigued. "If you really want to pursue this," he said, "you could make a legal claim. At minimum, you can freeze their assets tied to that account." For the first time in months, I felt something close to control. I told him to prepare the documentation quietly. No warning shots, no arguments. I wanted them blindsided. Meanwhile, I played my part. I didn't call or text my parents or Lily. I ignored their guilt-ridden messages and their attempts to manipulate me with family nostalgia. Instead, I followed Lily's startup social media from afar. She was still flaunting the family-flaunted business, smiling in every photo like nothing had happened. My parents were in the comments cheering her on, proudly taking credit for raising two driven kids. It made my blood boil. But I stayed quiet. Because silence, I realized, was power when the other side thought they'd already won. By the end of that week, Daniel called. "Everything's ready," he said. "One move from you, and it all comes crashing down." I stared at my phone, the weight of that choice pressing against my chest. I'd spent my whole life trying to keep this family together. Now I was about to tear down the illusion they'd built on my back, when the moment finally came. It wasn't dramatic. It was cold, quiet, and deliberate. Daniel sent the cease and desist letters to Lily's business partners, her bank, and the small investors she'd been courting. Each packet contained every piece of evidence: the financial transfers, the loan applications, and proof of fraudulent misrepresentation. The fallout started within 48 hours. I didn't have to lift a finger. Lily called first. "What the hell did you do?" she screamed through the phone. "Our investors are pulling out. They said you're threatening to sue." "I'm not threatening," I said calmly. "I am suing." "You're insane. You're going to destroy everything." "No," I replied, voice steady. "You destroyed it the moment you lied." Then came my parents. My dad's tone was laced with disbelief. "Son, what's gotten into you? You're really dragging your family's name through the mud over some business paperwork?" "Paperwork." I laughed bitterly. "You used my money to secure loans under false pretenses? That's fraud." My mom cried on the line, begging me to reconsider, but I didn't cave. I'd spent my entire life giving them the benefit of the doubt. This time, I was giving them consequences the next day. News spread fast. The boutique's social media vanished. The grand opening announcement disappeared. And whispers started circulating in our community. People knew something was wrong. I didn't say a word publicly. I let the truth speak for itself through the legal system. That silence, the same silence they once mistook for weakness, it became my loudest statement yet. Lily's last message to me was a single line. "You've ruined our family." I stared at it for a long time before replying, "No. Lily, I just stopped letting you ruin me." The weeks that followed felt surreal, like watching a slow-motion implosion I'd spent years unknowingly fueling. Lily's brand officially dissolved after the bank froze her account and demanded repayment of the fraudulent loans. Her business partners turned on her immediately, threatening to sue for misrepresentation. The shiny image she'd built online, the influencer lifestyle, the motivational posts about chasing dreams, vanished overnight. My parents didn't escape the fallout either. Since they'd co-signed the documents, the bank held them equally liable. Their home, the same one filled with family dinners and fake smiles, was suddenly under review for asset recovery. My father called me one night, voice trembling, stripped of his usual authority. "Please, son, we can fix this. Don't let it go to court." I paused before answering. "You had your chance to fix it before you used me. This isn't revenge, it's justice." He went quiet. For the first time in my life, I heard something unfamiliar in his tone. Not anger, not control, fear. Soon, the relatives who once flooded me with guilt messages started calling me instead, whispering questions about what really happened. I didn't tell them everything. I didn't need to. The truth had a way of revealing itself. Lily tried to play the victim online, posting vague quotes about toxic family members and betrayal, but that didn't last long. Public records told the real story. Screenshots of her legal filings started circulating. Her reputation, the one she'd built on charm and sympathy, crumbled just like her business. For a while, I thought I'd feel vindicated. But what surprised me most was how hollow it all felt. There was no victory parade, no rush of triumph. Just quiet clarity, the kind that comes when illusions finally die. And for the first time, I understood. My family had already fallen apart years ago. This was just the moment the world finally saw it. Months passed, and life began to feel quiet again, not the uneasy, suffocating kind of silence I once lived in, but the calm that comes when you finally stop apologizing for protecting yourself. My family stopped calling after the legal dust settled. The lawsuit was resolved in my favor, and the funds that could be recovered were returned to me. My parents sold their home to pay off the debts Lily's business left behind, and just like that, the empire of denial they'd built for years collapsed completely. I thought I'd feel angry, maybe even satisfied, but what I really felt was peace. For the first time in my life, I wasn't carrying their weight anymore. I wasn't the responsible son, cleaning up after everyone else. I was just me, and that was enough. Sometimes I still get letters from my mom. They start with guilt and end with nostalgia. "We miss you. Family should forgive. Blood is thicker than water." But I've learned something they never did. Blood means nothing without respect. Love isn't proven by sacrifice. It's proven by boundaries. Lily, as far as I know, moved away. Last I heard, she's working a regular job, struggling to rebuild her image. Part of me hopes she learns something from all this, not out of spite, but because maybe then she'll finally understand what I tried to give her. Trust. I've moved on. Bought a new place in another city. Started investing in myself for once. My own projects. My own future. There's no applause, no cinematic ending, just quiet strength. Sometimes at night, I still think about that phrase, family comes first. Maybe it still does. But this time, I'm part of that family too. And I'll never let anyone make me forget that again.